Welcome back to the Make a Baby podcast. I'm so grateful that you're here. This is episode 168. This is 24 lessons I learned in 2024. And they're not all fertility related, but they're all about heart and soul and our minds and our womb. So I'm ready to dive deep. But before we do, I want to thank you so much for your support of the Make a Baby podcast. We have ranked in 33 countries so far, and I'm so grateful for all of your support. And I'm so grateful that every single person has downloaded or left a review or sent me a DM. I'm grateful for you. I started this podcast not knowing where it would go, thought it was just going to be one season. And little did I know that I would be transformed by learning I'm a really great communicator, that I'm really great at this podcasting thing. And it's not a little podcast anymore. This is not a baby podcast anymore. We're over 2 years old, over 8,000 downloads, nominated for Women in Podcasting Awards. I didn't win, but I was nominated. That's huge. I have done so much identity work this year on who I'm becoming, who I've been, and what is next, and what do I identify as. I am a podcaster, and it is all because of the audience, you that are listening. And I'm so grateful for your support. Truly, from the bottom of my soul, thank you so much. So let's dive in. And these lessons are all my personal lessons through my lived experiences as an entrepreneur, as a healer, as a mom, as a wife, as a friend. And some of them are kind of wild. So let's dive in. Lesson number 1, just get started, even if it's scared. I wish I had launched my group program sooner than I did in the summer. I wish I had been braver and less scared, because I have launched it twice this year since January, and it's been wonderful. And so many people are getting pregnant inside the Make a Baby headquarters. It's literally changing my life, but it's helping people change their lives by getting pregnant, becoming the versions of the moms that they wanted to be. So whatever it is, whether you want to go back to school, change careers, apply for the job, just do it sooner. I also got my hair cut. I wish I had did that leap months ago. The hair lady that I had before, she was too quiet and she wouldn't talk to me. And I should have changed months ago. Actually a year and a half ago, after the first appointment, and not stuck it out. Just do it. Just make the change, implement the change, do the thing, even if you're scared. Number 2, this one is kind of ambiguous, but I'm going to break it down. The easiest way to get the thing you're manifesting is to embody. Embodying means becoming the version of you who has the thing, but it's more about living with the emotion and the vibration of that version of you than doing external actions. So when we think about a goal, we need to study more, we need to learn more, we need to do more. But really, embodying means feeling the emotion, owning the identity of the person, and operating in safety in that space of being the person that has the thing. So my goal this year, I've been through so much. As an entrepreneur, I used to run a marketing agency. I had clients that were not aligned. Even at the end of 2023, I had clients that weren't aligned, and the stress of that business alone was making me really sick, affecting my lungs. And I served them well. I sold with my whole heart. We had a team of 7 of people in the Philippines working on different projects with different VAs, working with different clients. And some of these clients were real gems, and some of them were really not kind. And I learned that to be the person that had time freedom, that was healthy, that was serving me first before anyone else, wasn't doing that business. So I gave my permission to shut it down, and I did. I wanted to be all in on Reiki. I wanted to be the person that was a full-time healer, that was soul-led, not money led. And I was doing that business because it was a great income maker. It was very risky to shut it down. But I trusted myself about doing less. I don't need to do this business and Reiki. So I shut it down. It was the biggest, most financial risky thing I did this year, and it's paid off. I embody a person that is confident and worthy, and Reiki being my main source of income. It's not about checking off a list. It's not about doing more. It's not about creating another funnel or freebie. I am being the person that is a successful Reiki healer, that is emotionally available and grounded and not sick because she's not stressed, because she's not out of alignment anymore. Number 3, it's okay to make mistakes. I get to have compassion, forgiveness, and love for my humanness as a healer, as a professional, as a mom, as a wife, as a friend. I've made quite a bit of mistakes this year. Who hasn't and who doesn't make mistakes? And that mainly had to do with communication and boundaries and expectations. And we'll go into that one soon. But I get to make mistakes. I get to have forgiveness and compassion towards myself. I also hold myself accountable. I've always done that. Number 4, you don't have to give your time to everyone. There are going to be a lot of people in your life that are going to ask a lot of things from you. There's a lot of people who ask to pick my brain. There's a lot of people who email me or DM me asking for free Reiki, or why can't you just work on me for free? They don't follow. They don't comment. I don't know anything about them. Can you just tell me when my baby's going to be born? As much as I wish I could give Reiki to everyone for free, but that's not how our world works. And I get to say no. So the same works for you. Number 5, this is going to be controversial as well. It is all my fault. Some people might say blame, but I don't look at that as blame. I get to take ownership of what happens to me, because then I have absolute control over what I do next, and I don't need an apology. Now, this may not work for everyone, but this is what works for me. So if I say, okay, XYZ happened, I didn't like what happened, I take accountability. What can I learn from it? What did the other person do? Great. How can I prevent this from going again? How can I mitigate this from happening again? And then, all right, I can move forward the way that I want to without input. I don't need anything from the other party. I don't need an apology. I don't need permission. I don't have any loose strings. I don't have any unfinished business, because I'm operating in absolute ownership. This mainly applies to my business. Like, I get to decide how I move forward. So if a launch failed, or an email didn't go out properly, that happened today, or if I hired the wrong person, it's okay. The person didn't work out. I'm the one who trained them. I'm the one who chose them. I'm the one who paid them. I can also fire that easily. I can let them go. I own the situation. I don't need to go into blame or any of the low vibrational feelings. So like, I own this 100%, viewing everything and all the variables inside of it. And a lot of people are like, well, other people should take accountability. Yeah, but sometimes I don't need that. A lot of time I don't need that. I don't need an apology from anyone, because I care about my emotions. I care about my actions and my integrity and how I'm operating. And I don't need closure from anyone, because I can provide that to myself. Number 6, unconditionally loving myself is actually the best line of defense. I learned about unconditional love this summer. There's 3 levels of love. I'm going to talk about unconditional love here. I teach about it in headquarters. Unconditionally loving yourself is the best line of defense, because when you love yourself unconditionally, there's no need to defend yourself. So when you love yourself unconditionally, you don't have to defend yourself. Think about that. There's no threat to you when you unconditionally love yourself, because there's no fear. When you unconditionally love yourself, there's unwavering confidence, endless love for yourself, a fountain of hope, a fountain of compassion, unrelenting compassion for yourself, peace, safety, acceptance, belonging. All of that exists in that space. So there's no need to defend myself because all of my needs are met. Boom, truth bomb. That one blew me away this summer. Number 7, what I have learned, what I have observed is either clients coming to me or people I've interacted with is most people are living their lives in fear. They're living it in a box. They're living under someone else's definition of happiness, and they may not even know it. This also shows up as people living in dysregulated nervous systems. And it's really important to make sure you take account and assess the people who are giving you advice and who you're putting up on pedestals or you hold in high regard. Because some of the people that I used to take advice from were people who live life in fear, and I wouldn't want to trade my life with them. So you think about it. A lot of the time we take advice from people who maybe you would want to trade lives with, that they're in a better position than you are. They have something you want to emulate, or they have something that you strive for. I have this friendship with a person that is my elder, not family related, and I did used to work with her. And she had everything I wanted. She was the mom I wanted to be like. Her children were people that I wanted to be like. But now as I'm older and I have evolved and I've done my anti-racist work and I've deconstructed my faith and I've healed a lot of wounds and I've put boundaries with my mother and I have an extremely strong marriage. I'm a confident person, and I'm not a person that needs to seek her advice anymore. I would never want to trade lives with her. And I realize now she's living in fear. I have a bravery and a confidence other people find threatening because I'm weird, because I'm different, and I dare to be different, because I do Reiki, because I'm not quiet. People find that threatening. Because I believe in equal rights, I believe in support the LGBTQ plus community. I support BIPOC, BLM. This has made some people uncomfortable. And as I feature that in my lives and I talk about it because exposure is important, I learned a lot of my people in my life previously that they were operating in fear. Like, well, if you teach your kid about LGBTQ plus, then they're going to be gay. Are you serious? I had no idea this particular person thought being a person that was queer or gay was wrong, because this person had always been kind and always had been outwardly accepting of people who were gay that we worked with. But when I was sharing conversations I was having with my son and how like, oh yes, it's 100% okay. Whatever and whoever you like, whatever gender or whatever, whoever you bring home, whoever you like is what I tell my son, we will love too. It is your heart that we love. It is you as a person, as a soul. And when I shared this, and she's like, you got this wrong. That's not godly. I was like, well, if your version of godly is what you think is right, we don't align. I can still be friends with her, but we just don't talk about the same things. And I most certainly, I learned in that moment, I outgrew her. So I also learned in that moment, she was still living her life in fear. She wouldn't say that, but I'm not teaching my son that. And I'm not operating in fear. I am operating in love. So for me is I learned in that lesson, I needed to reassess who I take advice from. I need to reassess who I hold in such high regard. And why do I hold them in high regard anymore? Is it just because I had since I was in my 20s when I was lost and I didn't have anyone? Well, I'm 41 now and I have a lot of people and I have me. I have a lot of lived experience. So I went through and I mentally and emotionally checked out every person that I had in high regard. I don't hold them in high regard at all anymore. They are still people I love, still people who I respect, but I also identify them as people I necessarily will not share certain things with, and I certainly don't want to take advice from anymore. I think that's a kind way of handling it. I don't have all the answers in this, but I did realize I was outgrowing people. So that's when I was like, check who you're taking advice from, because I realized a lot of people are living life in fear. Okay, number 8. I realized I finally made it. Like when I learned like I was strong enough to stand up to this person who was a huge figure in my life and a huge line of support for a long time, like decades, like 2 decades. I shut down a business. I went full throttle in another business. I supported other people's careers. It was 3.5 years ago I left corporate, and here I was sustaining our family financially, contributing. My husband works too. But I talked to my accountant. She goes, most people don't do what you do. Most businesses don't make profit this quickly. And here you are. You could have thrown in the towel at any point, but you're still doing it and you're making enough money and then some. Here we go. I'm so excited that also to realize emotionally, I identified as a wise person. Emotionally, I was like, wow, I was able to reflect and see how far I come. When I started my entrepreneurial journey, like full time, it was April 21st, 2021. I left my old company. I was broken. That the leadership that I had at that point in that company broke me, humiliated me, harassed me, made my life a living hell. So when I left corporate, it was because they were making me mentally not well. And to come here now, and we have 105 Reiki babies, I've made it. This is success. Being able to sit in alignment with my soul's purpose, understand that there was purpose in the pain that brought me here, that I'm a pioneer and a trailblazer. I created Reiki for fertility. People thought I was batshit crazy. You're going to niche down in a healing modality. No one does that. Nobody niches down in Reiki. You have to serve everyone. No, that's okay. I'm going to do it this way. You're going to stop doing in-person sessions. You'll never be successful online. Okay. Hold your breath. Watch me. I made it. I wanted to be at home with my son. Pandemic hit. Done. I wanted time freedom. Quit corporate job. Done. I want to be confident. Here I am, found my voice, started a podcast. I want my podcast to be one of the best in the world. Done. Top 1%, top 5%, ranking in 33 countries. Boom, boom, boom. Here we are. I want to be more emotionally regulated. Bam. Kid gets hit in the face and punched in the stomach last week. Went to school, taught him how to advocate. Sure. Am I super irate inside? Sure. Am I emotionally collected and grounded? Yes. So that my son can stand up for himself and he can have practice and being aware and making these conscious decisions while emotionally regulated. Absolutely. Success. I get to define it. I finally made it. I am the version that I always wanted to be. I'm happy. All the things, podcast awards, rankings, sales. Yeah, all of that. That's nice. And it's super grateful for it all. And I love all of the people I've met along the way. But I'm really happy. I'm so happy. I feel like I'm finally in alignment. So I'm going to ask you, what point in your life did you finally make it? You get to decide what that point in time is. Because I've had this feeling before and I love relishing in it. The time that I moved to Nebraska from Miami, I had just graduated college. I graduated college at 29, moved to Nebraska, all within months of each other. I graduated in August and I moved to Omaha October 30th. And I met my husband 7 months later. I bought a horse. I had a brand new car. I had a big girl job. And I got to start over. I had made it. I remember that moment. Like, oh my God, I got everything. I wanted a new job in a new state and a new car in a new girl apartment. I also have it now. I have had the best clients this year. So I made it. Number 9, I love to say no. This used to be freaking scary. Used to be so scary. But I love to say no because I'm saying yes to me. When I say yes to me, I say yes to my period. I say yes to my health. I say yes to lowering my stress. I say yes to alignment because I love me more than any commitment to anyone else. I love me more than any friendship I have. I love me more, and that makes my world more fluid and flow better because I'm choosing me. I'm reliable to myself. That leads me into lesson number 10. I became the most reliable, present, trustworthy person in my life. Me, not my husband, not my kiddo, not my best friends. I am my most reliable, present person. And I am my own trustworthy person to myself. I trust myself 100%, 10 out of 10. I will show up for me. I'm not letting myself down. I choose me every single day, all of the time. Number 11, clear communication is kind. When we beat around the bush and we don't say what we really need, want, or desire, that is unkind. So when I'm speaking and I'm asking for help, I create safety and I allow myself to speak up. I don't like misunderstandings. I don't like doing things. I don't like messy feelings. So I try to prevent them by being clear in communication. And that means speaking and also in emails. Number 12, the mom I need to be has nothing to do with the mom my inner child didn't get. The mom I need to be is the one that meets the emotional needs of my son. What? I have been emotionally available to my son since he was a thought. However, and I'm very in tune with my son's emotional needs, but it clicked this year that I need to stop being the mom that I didn't have. I need to be the mom that my son needs. And it's different because the lived experiences, the soul is different. How he operates and thinks and feels is different than me. He is a whole human being. I thought I would share that because I was like, well, this is a bomb. This is huge. Number 13, celebrating is underrated. We need to do it more. I need to do it more. So we celebrate a lot more around this house. We celebrate by buying plants or eating cake or getting ice cream. Number 14, simple scales, complex feels. I stole this from a business coach. If the emotions feel messy and the situation's complex, I get to push pause. I need to step back and I can reassess. Why does it feel messy? Whose emotions are messy? Or why does it feel messy? Is it really messy, or just we need to like ground, drink water, eat a good meal, drink some coffee? Like what do we, or drink some tea? Let's take a breath. Like really what is going on here? If it, in my business, if it's not simple, it's not going to work in the long run. Also, sometimes a situation, all you need to do is listen. And that's simple because you can do that with love. And when situations feel messy, it's really important to remember, does the person need to feel safe? Do they need to feel valued? Or do they need to feel like they are accepted? Those are the 3 buckets everything comes down to of any wound. That's huge. Number 15, I went first for a reason. Also borrowed that from another business mentor. I went first for a reason. I had the first Reiki baby. I had Reiki through my entire pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. I had a traumatic birth. Ollie was in NICU. I had my C-section incision ruptured, had a uterine infection. Ollie was born with a fever. We had a postpartum depression and anxiety, my childhood traumas, my childhood abuse, my narcissistic father, my abortion, all of those things ruptured in my postpartum. Became incredibly fragile. I survived it because of Reiki therapy and my good medical care. I have found great victory, great teachings, great insights from all of that pain and coming to a neutral, accepting state of what has happened to me because it's part of my dharma, my life purpose to teach from those points. I believe that the more we can heal up front, the less complicated fertility, pregnancy, birth, and postpartum will be. And the reason why I went through all of that is to create programs like I have so I could have the observation and evidence. So like if we can come at this with a strategy, with a methodology of how to clean this up, the easier those phases of motherhood will be because you deserve a positive first run at it. You shouldn't have to be traumatized for you to be like, okay, now I know what to expect. Or I didn't know my father wound was actually keeping me pregnant, but also is going to trigger me in postpartum when I feel really unsafe and I'm really sleep deprived. I went first so you wouldn't have to suffer. I also went first so people who are listening can also know what is possible, to know what healing can look like, how powerful you really are. Because if I can do this, you can too. I used to say, I'm just an ordinary person, just like you. I'm not ordinary. For me to do all of these things, this reflection, this work, is not ordinary because most people are living in fear. And if you're here, it's because you are extraordinary too. And that's what I believe. Okay. Number 16, own what you're really good at and tell people I'm really good at Reiki. I'm really good at talking to spirit babies. And I'm really fucking fantastic at podcasting. Communication is something I'm really great at. And my human design is a fixed energy center. So the more I owned my podcast and my communication, the more successful it became. Number 18, let people come and go. Let people be. If they want to stay, I let them. If they want to leave, I let them. I let them be who they are. Let them solve their own problems. I let them choose how they want to be in my life. It is easier for me to operate in a space of safety and holding space for people, but I don't control people. I let them be themselves. So if that means they need to have a season of quiet, I do a check-in on them and I say, "Hey, are you doing okay? Is everything okay?" And they say, "Yeah, I'm just taking time for me." Great. Doesn't mean I have to talk to everyone every day. If some people are saying just ghost, or I had a friend over a year ago, say she ended our 17-year friendship because she believed I was going to hell because I practice Reiki, but for the past 7 years, she's been aware of it. Didn't try to make sense with that. I let her go because she let me go. And I send love to that memory of her, and I send love to me because was that painful? 100%. But that's where I learned through that ending of friendship that I learned to let people go. I wasn't scared anymore to have people let me go because if they're making decisions out of fear, that's not in alignment for me. That's a different vibration. I operate out of love for myself, love for the people that are in my world, for my clients, for my son, for my puppies, for my husband. And sometimes, when you let people be, you don't ever have to let people go. They can make the decision themselves. And if they stay, treasure them for while you have them, while you share space with them. And when they're not there anymore, it allows another person who is going to match your vibration slide right in, that is more effortless, more aligned, deeper, more serving to you. It's going to bring you greater joy. Without the loss of that friendship from last year, I wouldn't have had the evidence of how far I've come or how much self-worth I have. I now embody self-worth. The awareness was there after it happened a year ago, but now I embody self-worth. It's different than just being made aware of it. Like, oh, I do have self-worth. Now I embody it. It is a much higher vibration. Number 19, healing your inner child will stop your triggers. Facts through and through. 100% believe this to my core. Healing your inner child will stop your triggers. So when you are upset or you get mad or when you react, you're not reacting from your, I'm 41-year-old self. Most of the time, you're reacting, you're angry, upset, enraged. It's from a younger version. That could be middle schooler, could be ages 0 to 10, could be high schooler. Were you bullied? When did what was a version of you? What was the younger version of you that was triggered? So when you heal that version of you, your triggers stop. Number 20, unresolved grief can be healed in an instant. On episode 167, last Friday, we released an episode with Victoria Volk, and she's a Reiki master, and she has a program on unresolved grief, healing unresolved grief. In that episode, she had said something to me that triggered the memory of my son was less than 2 weeks old. At the time, I had a hard time in postpartum. Ollie was, I remember it was it was Christmas Eve. Ollie was 13 days old. My husband had gone out for dinner. And when she was talking about unresolved grief, I realized in that moment in 2016, December 2016, I was grieving. And I was a person that had gone through so much to hold that baby. And I was not prepared for all of the trauma that I was still processing. I was not prepared for all the emotions of my past to come up. And what had come up was birth trauma. My birth would not stop playing in my mind, but I also had an abortion in my 20s. And I sat feeling unworthy of that little baby, 9 pounds, 3 ounces of that little chunkers. And I was like, how did I get here? So in that conversation on that podcast, what she was talking about healed me in an instant. I had not recognized how much unresolved grief that I had around my abortion. And then when I was reflecting back, how over the past years, how little compassion I had for that person that was sitting there going through so much, but and in that instant, all the grief that I had regarding been home and that year I ruined Christmas 100% because that was Christmas Eve. And I told everyone I didn't want anyone to hold Ollie but me. And I was having a hard time. So nobody came over. But in that instant, when I recognized that what I was going through was unresolved grief from my abortion compounded with birth trauma, I was gone in an instant. It was enough. Healing can be done in an instant. And anything that's unresolved, sometimes it's just a matter of someone making a connection for you. And that happened for me on episode 167 when Victoria was talking about it. So yeah, that can happen in an instant. Healing doesn't have to be long and drawn out. It can happen in an instant. Number 21, gratitude is needed more. And when I say gratitude, what's something that never works for me is the stupid gratitude list. If that's what you do, good for you, but it doesn't work for me. Journaling, gratitude, no, it doesn't work for me. Gratitude for pure and simple things like the motion of your hand reaching for your coffee cup, or the breeze in the tree, or the sun shining on my face, or my toes in the grass, barefoot. It's living and feeling and being intentional with what is happening in my body is feeling and what I'm observing. The gratitude allows me to exist and live with gratitude in the moment while I'm living it and observing my sensations. It changes my vibration. It is so amazing because I start to see the world in awe. 1,000 Names for Joy is a great book to read, and it helped me see it that way. Number 22, social media is not real life. A lot of people lie on social media, likes and shares. None of it matters. I also own my social media. Like I follow and unfollow people all of the time. It's a business account. It's not my friend account. especially on Instagram and TikTok. So people are like, get upset about that if I unfollow them. It's a business account. If you're not posting and you're not a potential client and you're not a current client, when I figure out that this is not moving forward in some kind of way in like a professional relationship, I'm not going to follow you. I keep my follower count small and intentional, and that's okay. But if people want to connect with me, they can send me an email, they can book a Reiki session, they can send a DM, they can listen to the podcast, they can join a program. There are ways. However, social media is also um, a relationship. You can choose what you to believe about social media. And I've done a lot of work on what I believe is real and not real with social media. And I always do what's right for me. And if someone doesn't like how I handle my accounts or how I post, like the frequency, someone posted, like sent me a DM that I post too much. I'm like, okay, thanks. You can unfollow if you don't want to see my stuff. You can also block me. I think that's do what is best for you. I think if the person doesn't bring you joy, get out of their world. You're in the driver's seat. I empower you to make the best decisions for you. Lesson number 23. This has been a hard one, and this is more a recent lesson. Seeing every person as a human makes it easier to be respectful and kind. I think the political ads and things in the media have made us all emotionally charged. And I've been doing a lot of reflection on conflict resolution, and with everything making our country so divided, it can make it really easy for anyone to start to hate a group of people or a particular party, political party who may be opposite of you. But I have to remember, like, and this is a conversation I was having with my little, and I was like, I have to remember, like, if someone, is voting a different way than me, one, they get to vote. We have to let people be who they are. And that's like the beautiful thing about our country is like we have the freedom of voting. But also that is a person, that is a human. And in our house, and this is how I believe that we change the world, is how we operate, how we are teaching our family, what our family is known for. We will treat people with kindness, and we will operate in kindness, and we will operate with respect. And that means no violence. We don't support violence. We don't support hate. And when we remember the other person, it doesn't mean we have to agree with it, but it does mean we will be respectful. And I think that is at the bare minimum to be, even if like the political points are very opposing, person's a human. And I believe every human deserves respect. I also believe no human is illegal. So I'm a first generation. My dad was an immigrant to this country, so there's that. Number 24, our last and final lesson. The type of client who I have fallen in love with this year and have conceived babies are unlike anyone I've worked for before. I have to say, I will never be the same because of these women that I've worked with. They have shown up in the most motivated ways. They have shown up in the most dedicated way for their babies. They are 100% all in. Versus like clients I worked in the past, maybe not shown up to all the calls. Maybe was hesitant to go deep. Maybe was hesitant to learn Reiki. Was hesitant to heal. No, not these batch of baddies. No. I can say from the first person that was in the cohort in the beginning, the first cohort of the Make a Baby headquarters, I'm pregnant, about to give birth. Amazing human and 100% miracle. She quit her job and got pregnant during that 90 days. The second round, of the Make a Baby headquarters, Celine. She's going to be coming on the podcast very soon. We recorded her episode already. Pregnant at the beginning of the headquarters. The second one, our second and third members within that cohort, amazing humans, studying, asking questions, fully engaged, showing up for their personal sessions, actually communicating with their spirit babies during an egg retrieval. You can listen to that episode. That was with Nicole Garkin. And she was last week. So she was episode 166. She spoke to her spirit baby. Women are discovering their truest selves and their true psychic abilities and discovering their mother's intuition and getting pregnant, feeling empowered, feeling like if they haven't conceived, but they have an inner knowing that they will very soon. How about that? That is freaking magical. And I love that because that means it's working. It's not about just getting pregnant. It's becoming our most authentic, most unburdened, most aligned, happiest version of us. So we can become the mothers our babies need. So we can lead life and be the partners that bring joy to our families. So these are the lessons, 24 lessons in 2024. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I know this is a longer episode. Thank you for wanting to be part of the Make a Baby world. So but before we go, I want you to send me a DM or go to the first line in the show notes. And I want you to book a VIP fertility call. I am now accepting private clients for 2025. There are 6 and 12 month spots, and we have varying packages. This is for the person who wants to accelerate their fertility and their healing. And when we are working one-on-one together, you get full access to the membership and every program that I do, every micro program. And we will be meeting frequently every month, weekly check-ins, and you'll be Reiki attuned. So if you are wanting to connect to your spirit baby, know your spirit baby, get answers in your fertility, and conceive, then you need to book a spot for 2025. So go ahead and book a VIP fertility call. We're also enrolling for our signature program, the Make a Baby headquarters, and you can grab that. I am doing Black Friday offers for both of these. They are only available to those who book calls because I want to make sure that I'm a good fit for you and you're a good fit for me. And the program is something that you can align with. So again, first line, book VIP fertility call. Until next time, my friends, let the Reiki flow and know that you are the miracle maker.